Zachary Wagner here with Clemson Sports News. I was just wondering how this camp has differed from previous camps before.
Oh man, it's completely different just because of all the protocols that are in place. Meeting spaces are different, dynamics are different in terms of how we operate and maneuver around the building. But structurally, from a football standpoint, practice structure, all of that stuff is very similar. But just all the protocol. So the guys got to be, they got to be proactive. They got to get up early. They got to make sure that they take care of their business so they can get checked in on a daily basis. We're traveling a little bit further for some of our team meetings. So just structurally with those issues is different because of the protocols. But the football, the football's football.
It sounds like you had a number of guys out of receivers today. What did you see from the reserves to step up?
Oh, really, really proud of Cornell. I'd say that Cornell Powell probably had his best day, since he's been here. Man, really, really stepped up. He's having to play, a lot of plays. He's having to play all three positions. He had several touchdowns today. Him and Trevor, had some good chemistry today, and he just was fighting and battling. He started to get hot towards the end of practice, and so he had a good day. Speck just continues to quietly make plays. He's another one that's being stressed and strained. He's having to play multiple positions. So those are the guys right there that are really stepping up. I thought Braden had a solid day when he got his opportunity. So those are the two main guys. But hopefully we'll get those other guys back out of protocol soon and get them in action.
Hey, Coach, how did it feel to get into Death Valley tonight or this morning?
Man, it felt awesome. And before practice, I told the guys, and this is what you work for: opportunities to play football. This is your happy place. Let's block everything out and let's just have some fun. And I thought the guys really, really took heart to that. Got off to a fast start. Then the sun came in, and you can see that the summer's been a little bit different on the guys, and had a couple penalties down the stretch. But overall, man, it was just awesome to get out there and get off the field and see what the young guys can do. And the offensive line, especially that second offensive line, bunch of young guys having to play a lot of snaps. Robbie's mixing and matching, trying to get guys in the right position. So it was just fun. I thought the backs ran hard. Quarterbacks looked good. Did have a couple turnovers, on a couple tip balls. But other than that, a really good start, a good middle, but kind of down the stretch, didn't quite finish the way that I wanted to.
Sounds like Linjay had a bigger role today. What did you see out of Linjay today?
Linjay is a lot more confident, and he's playing fast. He just looks composed in pass protection. He can communicate now with me in my language in pass protection. He can communicate with the quarterbacks. He can anticipate where pressures are. Looks like the game is really, really slowing down for him. He's starting to understand and really internalize what his running style is. I'm seeing him start to drop his pads a little bit more, be a little bit more patient, not always try to hit the home run. But because of that level swing, I like to stay with him sometimes. As a baseball analogy, he is hitting some home runs. So just really, he just looks like a veteran and is needed, especially with the young guys that we got, the talented guys in the room.
Hey, Coach, this is Chris Hall with allclemson.com. Tell us a little bit about Pomachan and how he's handling the competition with DJ and Trevor and how he's coming along.
He's doing a good job, throwing a lot at him. Really, really kind of went heavy with the install because we had some time this offseason to get ahead. And then really, really straining these guys just with the schedule being a little bit different and the camp structure not quite being as long as it's been in the past. So really challenging those guys. He looks a lot more comfortable in the pocket. He's not having issues with the motions like he did in the past. So he looks a lot more calm there. The biggest thing for him to progress, which is understandable and probably expected at this point, is just the pass protection and being able to see the multiple fronts, make the multiple adjustments, get the back in the right spot, know that when he changes the protection, where he's going to be run hot. So that's probably the biggest area of improvement. But man, he's not backing down. He's battling. He's absorbing as much as he can, but still got to challenge him to make sure that he's really putting in the work from a pass protection standpoint. And that's just like with backs. That's the hardest thing with quarterbacks too, is to pick up the protection. And when you go against Brent and everything that they do with the multiple fronts and the multiple blitzes and the aggressive nature that they have, really, really challenges them.
How is DJ handling all of that right now in that same kind of competition?
In that same kind of DJ's doing well. I think you can see there's probably a little bit more of a foundation there when you look at him and Trevor, and then the systems that they came out of in high school, and you compare it to Tyson. A lot of that stuff was new. May not have been responsible for that, but DJ's handling it the same way. But you can see it's an adjustment period because again, it's a lot of responsibility. So both of those guys are battling. They're both moving along. I'd say I compared DJ to Trevor. in that aspect. But I say it's because he's got that foundation, so he's starting to handle that pretty good. So they're both competing, and it's in my opinion, like they're up there neck and neck battling. And today's a good day. Excited to see the tape. Thought our protection was good. So overall, they must have made the right adjustments, the right protection calls, and slid the line the right way, put the back where they needed to be, because we had a really, really good day from a protection standpoint. Sorry if I'm too close to the screen. It's hard to hear on this.
Coach Gavin Oliver from the Clemson Insider. I was just curious, what did you see from Kobe Pace and DeMarcus Bowman today during the scrimmage?
Finally got a chance to get off the field and let DeMarcus and Kobe go. I thought Kobe looked really good between the tackles. Like I thought he would. Big physical guy. Did get the edge a time or two. And DeMarcus, I think he's more of a scrimmage type of guy. When we're out there running around in practice, things are moving a lot faster. But when he kind of is out there on his own, back in his element, you saw him put his foot in the ground, made a couple plays, looked good back there, doing some kickoff return stuff for us. So we're pleased with where they are. Obviously, y'all know every year it's always a challenge with them young backs because of the way our system is structured from a protection standpoint, from an alignment standpoint, and just all the multiple route adjustments that we make in the passing game. It's really a challenge for them. But I was encouraged to see those guys, in the first scrimmage. So I would say both of those guys would probably be ahead of where typical freshmen are, but still got a long way to go.
What are you seeing out of the interior offensive line right now? You got some guys stepping into some bigger roles.
Can you repeat the question, please?
What are you seeing out of the interior offensive line? Some of the guys stepping into new roles. How are they doing so far?
So far so good. Like I said, we had a really good day from a protection standpoint. And again, I think we know, who Jackson is, and with his past performance, and I think we all knew the upside that McFadden had. So the question was going to be interior wise, but Cade has really accepted his opportunity and his role to be the leader in the middle, so directing traffic. Bockhorst just brings that nasty element. And then Putnam has quietly had a really, really good camp. And like I tell those guys, if your name's not being called and we don't notice you, then you're doing something right. So those guys are being challenged with the multiple fronts and multiple run schemes that they got to make adjustments on with the multiple fronts. So I'm really pleased with their communication, their chemistry. That first offensive line, they're going to have to play a lot of snaps because of the youth that we have within the depth on the offensive line. So, really, really been proud of just the cohesion, the chemistry, the ownership, and the leadership that those guys are providing. And then just fundamentally and technically, they're doing a really, really good job of passing off twists and doing the things that make their job really, really difficult.
You guys have had some different receivers that have been out, and what have you seen at the 2-man and 9-man right now?
Say it again, the 2-man
and the 9-man boundary.
And the 9-man, so Cornell's had to play pretty much all those positions. Specs had to play all those positions. EJ, and a Joe have been, but they're young guys. Obviously, Joe just getting here, so everything is still kind of spinning in his head. EJ, you're starting to see. We know how athletic he is and the acrobatic catches, but you're starting to see him be a little bit more consistent. So that's kind of how we're rolling. But every day it's a different lineup, and so that's a credit to Coach Christian for having those guys ready to play multiple positions, and then also just the fact that we're able to go out and execute and score points in a scrimmage situation with the constant mix-up of receivers. Those guys, you can tell they put in some work, over the summer, but all those guys are embracing their opportunity. And again, we're hopeful to get the other guys out of protocol soon, but it's really been good for Cornell, getting some boundary work at the 9-man, also getting some 2 work. It's also been good for EJ to play 2 and 9, and also been good for Spec to play all 3.
Coach Trevor Groves, UTigers.com here. Coach Sweeney, I was just in that room, and he just compared your 2 freshman running backs, Bowman and Pace, to the original Thunder and Lightning. Have you already talked about how they performed today?
Just a little bit. Again, A little bit tougher in a non-controlled scrimmage when everything is available to him, but got them reps with the second group as well, and both of them, showed some flashes. You saw Bowman have a chance to put his foot in the ground. And what I wanted to see was in a live situation how he was going to run between the tackles, and he put his foot in the ground and he drove his nose up in there, which was good. And then you saw him, hit the second level a couple times, and it's just a matter of time before he breaks one. Kobe just continues to show his consistency. I mean, he's a big guy, but he's very, very smooth. That's probably why he gets some of the comparisons to a James Davis. Very, very soft hands. Those guys are continuing to do good, continuing to progress. I'm excited to look at the film to see exactly how they were doing. But I thought overall we ran the ball well, and they had a couple of plays where they were in there to show some flashes.
Anything else for Coach Elliott?
Trevor, again, Coach. Coach Sweeney has had really good things to say about Brandon Spector. How would you compare him to Hunter Renfrow at that position?
He looks a lot like him in that 13, but he's bigger. He's bigger, just as quick, if not quicker, at his size. I mean, Spec's going to be, he's looking me in the eye. He might be a little bit taller than me, so he's pushing that 6'2" range. Very, very natural ball skills. Just has a knack for the receiver. So he looks very similar to Hunter. Not quite as savvy yet just because he doesn't have the experience, but I think he's going to have, more top end speed, and he has the same amount of short area quickness. And as we can get, the guys back from protocol and kind of get him settled into one or two of the spots, to let him really work on the details. But so far, man, he's shown great flashes of quickness on some of the concepts that we have in for him, and then him for that 5-man position. And then also, he's shown some speed. He's caught some balls and ran away from some people. So very comparable, but he's a bigger, faster and probably equally as quick kind of guy as Hunter.
One more for Coach Elliott.
How about Cade Stewart at center, Coach? How's he doing?
Now, he's doing awesome. He's doing awesome. Not really missing a beat from what we had in the past. He's played a lot of football, but now he knows it's his turn. We're counting on him from a leadership standpoint. He's always been a physical guy. He's always been a guy that can move people. So it's been good, and he's been good for Putnam, to his right, being able to communicate with him because he knows the guard position. And then you got Bockhorst to his left, so he doesn't really have to necessarily tell Bockhorst anything because Bockhorst knows. I mean, Bockhorst is probably one of the smartest football players we got. So it's really, really, really encouraging to see where Cade Stewart is. We just got to continue to work on the consistency and the cohesion. But so far, man, those guys have done a great job. In my opinion, very, very comparable to the guys that we had last year with all of their experience as well.